Hello everybody and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael and today we are looking at a wonderful park called Peak Park that was actually created on the Xbox, and this was created by Corvus. And the quick description says, "This is my third park I've created on Xbox and includes a range of thrill and family rides. I aimed for a realistic UK style park with multiple themed areas and manufacturally accurate rides. Any feedback is appreciated and I hope you enjoy." So right away we are getting started with this tour, and as you can see, just the view from the parking lot is really nice. One thing I would add that I think would just add a little bit more detail to those planners is if you use the concrete decorative course, not concrete, the decorative course. Because if you actually look at real theme parks and stuff and those kind of wooden structures like that, that's what they have, is the kind of brick structure on top as well. And here's a little backstage. Absolutely love it. You know, I love backstage when it comes to coasters like this is, or theme parks. This is my go-to, and I love how you've got some spare coaster track. So hopefully that is track that correlates with coasters you have in the park, which is really cool. And so now we're back here at the main kind of entrance plaza, and I like the flooring you used. I'm trying to remember watching the first episode. Was that the castle piece? I can't remember, but either way, that looks good. It's a nice color, nice gray. And so over here we've got a car park shuttle. So we got a little tram, little shuttle for the guests. And I think the entrance to this park is really good. So you made some custom lettering there. You've got that kind of rounded building there to the right. And you know, it's a pretty basic entrance, but this is what you see at a lot of parks. Like, it's not overly detailed, it's not a massive building. Good job with that custom lettering right there. I wonder if you call it Peak Park, because that would be easy to make with letters, because obviously you're only making 4 letters with each word. So yeah, here's another example of using that concrete decorative course piece on top. So we've got the shop. Yeah, this is nice. So it's a nice entryway, and what I like about how you design this park is the elevation change is just awesome. I mean, look at that. That's a great view. Just how you basically start elevated and then you look down to the park. So that is a really cool thing. And so it looks like we got a chairlift right there, so you can kind of see a little bit of the elevation change out of that window. And now I have watched park tours, his park tour and Maddie's on it, but I haven't seen this video that was sent to me by Corvus, because as I should have said, since I don't play Xbox, he had to pre-record the video and send it to me. So make sure to go check out his channel, as he does great work. You got the restrooms right there. Looks like we got another, is that a food? Oh, food to go, so a little food shop. Looks nice. You got those nice big screens that I wish we could import our own images for. Wouldn't think it would be that hard, but guess so. Really good job though. Yeah, so as you can kind of look out and see that coaster go by, I mean, this is, golly, it's just how you've got it high up and then you look down into the park. It's just so cool. And so now you've got this chairlift that takes you obviously from the front of the park down to the park. So now you've got your walkway, and so once again you've got the sign and just walkway out to the coasters. What? I don't know what that was, I just did, so. So now we are heading to, looks like we're heading to the right portion of the park. Yeah, so you've got the Skyway, which is nice. And what is that? We got a, oh, is that like a little slide basically for guests, it looks like, if you wanted to slide down the hill. And so really good job with all these elevation changes. Just, it really adds a lot to the park. And that's tough to work with as well. Now this is a really big elevation change, but there we go. We've got, I'm trying to remember, is this the Vekoma? It looks like it'd be the Vekoma with that really rounded circular tube, so new style Vekoma. And that's another thing with this park too that Corvus has done just a great job of, and nice coverings. is it's not a large park in terms of like the size of the coasters, but they all seem to be really thrilling. So there's a lot of elevation change here. Now this is tough to work with, and I feel like there could have been probably a little more work trying to get this portion a little bit more flattened out or smoothed out. But I mean, we all know the pathing system in this game is, needless to say, not the easiest to work with. So now we are heading on to Cobra. About time we get to ride a coaster. No, I'm just kidding. So once again, good job kind of covering the queue with those walls. Okay, so this is a queue that goes over these stations. That's pretty cool. So now, and that's one thing with flip cam mode that's a little annoying, is how you're always walking over the guest. And one thing I want you guys to notice, look at that row. There were yellow dots. Those yellow dots, just something simple, but it's to represent, hey, this is where you stand. So that was Cobra, and let's see if we can see it here, but there's an extra coaster on the transfer track, which is a really, really cool thing to be able to do. So in the link below, I'm putting a link to that video if anybody cares to check that out, as I made a well, I can't speak, I made a small tutorial video about that. But Corvus just did an amazing job with that. And as for the coaster, I thought it was really good. I think it honestly probably could have turned the friction up a little bit, because I think there were a couple moments where it was maybe a little bit too quick through those elements, but overall, really, really well job. Wow, really, really good job. I can't speak tonight. What is going on? No, I'm just kidding. So up there we've got something on fire. Yeah, now this is cool. This invert. So definitely, I think he took some inspiration from Nemesis for this, if I'm remembering correctly, and just the views you get right there like that. That is amazing. So really, really good job. And you can kind of tell now that you've changed into a little bit of a different area of the park, because the ground's different, the fencing's different, basically everything's different about it compared to the previous area of the park. So that is just really, really cool. Now as you look in the queue, and you get to see some interaction with the coaster. Yeah, it looks like it's definitely got some Nemesis vibes as it kind of heads up the lift there, kind of up to the hill. And this is a really unique and really cool station. So I wonder if we'll get an overhead view of it. It's just basically just using scaffolding pieces and stuff like that. Now the only thing about it is if it rains, you're not really going to be protected from the rain. But that is really cool. And really good job with that 0G roll right there. That is super realistic. Yeah, so you can see kind of the structure and supports of this. It is, I don't think I've seen anybody make anything like this. So it's really cool. As I said, very unique, but very cool. So I will talk to you after we take a ride on the coaster. So that was the Nemesis style coaster, and you can definitely see the inspiration from Nemesis, and really good job, really well done. That's my favorite of the two so far. Just a really amazing coaster, and that was called Genesis Nemesis. So it looks like we got Atomic. Is that oh, that's the flat ride. Okay, yeah, I figured. Oh my gosh, I couldn't. God, there's no way I could ride that thing in real life. Are you kidding me? Oh. Yeah, there's no way. Absolutely no way at all. But good job using kind of the custom lettering and stuff for naming the rides. And that chairlift just looks awesome. The views. Really cool. So now we're heading back where we just came from to food time. What did everybody have for dinner? Jasmine and I had pork chops, so it was good. So let's see what food we got in here. And I like how you did the windows. Like, that's very tricky, but it is a really cool kind of custom look to it. And I couldn't tell if you did the lighting as like recessed lighting, but it's cool when you take lights and you put them up in the ceiling to where you can only see the rounded portion of that area light. Then it makes it kind of look like recessed lighting, or even the box lights looks like it as well. But really great job. So now we're heading to the next area of the park, and just how you place the trees and all this stuff, like it really feels immersive. And we got a little backstage there, it looks like. Really good job. That's cool how you can see a coaster kind of on the top of those hills or those ruins. So there's the Sky Trams. That's where you get dropped off at. So now we're in more of a, it's not really jungle theme, but more of kind of like an African kind of safari type feel to it. Or at least that's the vibe I get. And man, there's some amazing looks at the coasters in this park. And this is quite the hill, quite the path to go. So oh my gosh, you gotta go up some stairs, man. If you go to this theme park, if this was real, you'd be getting your steps in. You'd get your workout in. You wouldn't have to do a workout later in the day. So really good job. I love the queue. Love that custom fencing by just using those haunted house beams right there. I think that's a really good job. And really good view there of the coaster as it comes by. So that is really cool. So now we're heading up to the station. And it looks like you used temple blocks for the station pieces, but let's go ahead and take a ride on this launch coaster and I'll talk to you afterwards. So that was the launch coaster, and that was really well done. I love the area where you do the 2 0G rolls, but the second one you kind of, well actually no, it's like you, I guess you came in, kind of banked one direction and you end banked the other direction, so it's almost like you do 360 and 180, so 540 degree spin. So that is really cool, and I mean the launches are done really well, so just a really good coaster. I'm trying to think now if it's in the description that what type of coasters there are, but is that an Intamin or a Mac? Which launch is it? I couldn't quite pinpoint that. That's one area that I kind of struggle with in terms of trying to identify coaster types in the game, is some of the different launch coasters. So I know they're different in terms of the forcefulness of their launch and stuff a lot of times, but I kind of get that confused. That is a cool element right there. So really good job. I still think my favorite so far is the invert, but now we got Dune, and I love the custom sign right there because you made it look so unique, especially the E almost looked like a chicken's foot or something. There we go. So what type of coaster do we have right there? So I turned up the brightness on my screen and I couldn't see, but man, this view. Whew. That's one thing, Corvus, I'd love to see you do. Actually, you know what? Now that I say that, you did do that in your previous park, but I was going to say look at doing speed build or including that as part of like creating the biome and stuff, because you did such a good job with the trees and everything and the land and how you wanted your different levels and elevation to be. So I think that's a really good job. So I think this one is the one that's the Intimate Blitz. I think the other one was a Mac, if I'm getting that correct. But I'm trying to figure out what happened on that moment where the screen went dark for a bit. Was that kind of changing around the... was that almost trying to have like a drop track or something like that? But either way, really cool. Like I said, lots of elevation this ride, which is really cool. Tumbleweed, what a great name. Wow, that's such a good name for a fly ride right there. Now we're getting close to what might be my favorite ride of the park, or at least my favorite style of coaster. And for those of you that have watched the channel, you know what coaster that is. It could be one of two options. But really good skin right there for the flat ride. I love how you had the triangular pieces. So I think that was a good touch. And now you might be able to see it in the distance to the left for a second. We have an RMC. And man, some of these smaller scale RMCs, like they're small, but man, they pack a punch. Like Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom is a small coaster, but my goodness. And look at that stall right there. Or it's a mini stall. But the custom supports on it is really, really cool. So Squadron. From Star Wars, right? I think. My cat's just staring at me. What's up, buddy? So we got Bandit. I remember somebody in the chat for the video naming this for Corvus. And so this is a really, really well done coaster. And it's very compact too for an RMC. So I wonder, because I think Corvus does 4-meter coasters. I mean, obviously that takes up a lot more of the percentage counter. And so you kind of have to deal with that aspect of it, which might be part of the reason that this coaster is a little shorter. But I'm super excited to take another ride on this coaster. So let's see if there are any stats to look at here, or if we just hop right on the coaster. Looks like we're going front row, of course. So here we are on the coaster, and now we'll talk to you afterwards. So that was Bandit, a really well done RMC, and I love RMCs. So I wonder with some of your coasters, I wonder, do you turn the friction down? Because you build, since, I mean, you said it's a realistic UK park, which it is. You know, parks in the UK don't have a lot of size. So to be able to have the elements that you have, I would think you probably have turned the friction down some. If not, that's amazing. You've been able to create this, but I do feel like there's a couple moments on some of the coasters where it almost goes too quick through the element, to where I maybe turn the friction up a little bit instead of maybe turning it down. But wow, that is such a great view. It almost looks like real life. That is really, really cool. But that stall was just excellent. Really good job. So here we got Squadron, which is another flat ride, and I think we've been on all the coasters. Trying to think to myself now, and so I think there are 5 coasters in the park, and yeah, this is another one I will not do. You cannot get me to go on this flat ride. Not at all. But that is just a really good view of kind of that area. So now, yeah, I think that's the most well-placed coaster that you have, that one right there. But I still think my favorite coaster is the Nemesis inspired invert. But that intimate launch was really, really good as well. So as we can see it coming out of the tunnel there, it kind of almost gives me a part of it like a Fire Chaser Express vibes for part of it, which, I mean, that's a little more intense than Fire Chaser Express was, but I'm just kind of seeing with the multiple launches and stuff. So looks like we got some more. We got restroom, and then this path takes us back down to the eatery, and then we got a little place for people to sit there and eat. Good job. So now we are making our way back up. So with this park, I've really enjoyed this park. I think you've done just an amazing job with it. I do think, like that little picnic area up there, when you have so much elevation change, it can be really hard to highlight some of the inefficiencies of the, oh, we got a boomerang, I forgot about this thing. Some of the inefficiencies of the pathing system, right? And so that's where, when I'm like making a building and I'm going to want to place down ceiling tiles or something for it, I try to make sure it's flat and stuff around it's flat. Because then it just kind of throws it off. But this is a really, really beautifully colored coaster, and it is called Switchback. Great name for a boomerang coaster, and really nice scenery around here. Oh, there's 2 more coasters for us to look at. Okay, I don't know why I was only thinking there's 5. So here we go. Maybe add a crossbeam or 2. But we have the family inverted boomerang, so I'll talk to you afterwards. Now that is a really cool experience. It's not necessarily a thrilling coaster, but if you look at it in the elements, there's a lot of things that it does differently there that at least I haven't seen a boomerang do. So I'm sure you model that off of either a real life one or some kind of model or concept or design, but that is really, really cool. Yeah, and so maybe one thing I want to point out too, as I've said before with concrete courses, like I think when you use a lot of wall pieces, I think it's best to use something on top of that wall piece as like a trim. Whether it's the thick wooden beam, whether it's 2 haunted house beams, whether it's the large haunted house beam, whatever it is, I just think that adds a little bit more detail to it. But that's just my opinion there. So now it looks like we're heading to the family-oriented coaster with the big O's that the guests will travel through. So really nice little plaza area here. Now we're walking up the queue. This is a cute station too. This how it's done is nice. And we got the Caterpillar. So that was the family coaster, the kids coaster that I can't remember the name for. But I really like how it's like you go through these honey hives or these beehives. I don't know why I said honey hives, beehives. So that's a really cool kind of concept to fill in there. And we're getting close to the end of the video, so as we kind of take a walk back up, I want to thank Corvus so much for making this video to send to me so that I could review his park. And I appreciate Corvus for the support that he shows to Jasmine and I, and Iron Maddie, and just Plip, Tommy CM. You know, there's other people, newer people too, who are starting to put out Planet Coaster content. And what's just amazing about this community is we all support each other, which is really cool to see. But now as you see this elevation view, I just think that's a amazing view. And one thing I wanted to kind of mention as a little bit of feedback, as I've said, kind of putting some type of trim on the top of your wall pieces. And I do think with some of the coasters, whether it's turning down friction, maybe doing one more path of smoothing could help out too. As I know Corvus does his coasters with 4-meter smoothing, and you don't want to smooth out too much because then it might get rid of the cool element like you can see right there on that first coaster that we rode. But thank you guys so much. Make sure to check out Corvus's channel and have a great rest of your day.